everybody. It is the Black White Liberal. Welcome to the show. Today is Saturday, January 16th. It is 10 days post Capitol riot, and a lot of things have been happening. That day was a crazy day. Of course, they were trying to certify the election for Joe Biden, and there was also a rally that was held that day in DC, and Trump encouraged his supporters who came out to go to the Capitol and to interrupt the process of counting. And they did just that. And they interrupted by breaking down the doors of the Capitol building, or windows, breaking in, fighting police. 4 people died. One police officer died after the fact, maybe like a day after, but his injuries occurred during the riot. There was a person who, I shouldn't even call it a riot, really. Let me go ahead and correct that. It was truly an insurrection. People were in there with zip ties and just seemed like they were ready to take people hostage. There are so many stories coming out of this. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about that has come out of this story is the idea of breaking the blue wall. If you aren't familiar with the concept of the blue wall, this is kind of the police stance of protecting one another because only they know what they go through. So a lot of times what we've seen over the summer with a lot of the protests is that even when the police are doing what appears to be wrong to those of us who are in society, doing things like shooting unarmed black people in the back or just killing unarmed black people, there has been a hesitation for other police officers to call that out. The first circumstance that I can remember when people truly did call it out was George Floyd. What they did to restrict his movement and everything was extreme, and of course he ended up dying as a result of that, and that kicked off a lot of the protests that we saw in the summer of 2020. So it's been a constant that police have been protecting each other throughout basically time. The blue wall is not anything new. But one thing that we're seeing that has come out of these riots or this insurrection that took place on January 6th is that the blue wall seems to be breaking. Now, of course, it's going to take more time, but people are calling out officers that took part. So one of the things that the Washington Post posted was that there had been a noticeable break in the so-called blue wall of silence, which is an aspect of police culture that encourages officers to ignore misconduct by their peers. There are so far 11 off-duty police officers were part of what they're calling the Capitol mob, and these are the people who broke into the Capitol, went through the halls, went into offices, all these things. And so now they said the police officers are beginning to turn in their own. And I feel like this is really important because this is something that I don't think could have happened had not Donald Trump been president. I just don't think that things would have gotten as bad as they have. Only, I think a personality like him would inflame people to the point that they would come to DC armed with weapons, with just tools to be able to try to take over the building. And a lot of people have been really disgusted by that. There are certainly a lot of people who still support Donald Trump, still support even what happened that day. But there has been a call that I don't think could have happened in any other circumstance in terms of calling people out and saying that enough is enough and this is unacceptable. And so there were, again, several officers that came that took part in the demonstration and took part in the actual attempt to take over the Capitol building. And it's also important to note that originally it just kind of looked like they were wandering around the halls, taking pictures in people's offices, just being generally disrespectful. But since the first day, what's come out is there was a lot of forceful and threatening behavior towards other police officers. The Capitol Police Force was the primary force there, and there was a lot of fighting with them, trying to spray them with pepper spray. A lot of these people came with their own weapons and tools that are similar to what police officers use, and they were really getting into combative situations with other cops. And so you wonder, what happened to Blue Lives Matter? What happened to respecting the police? And one of the things that I find interesting is a lot of the talk is this isn't who we are. That's what they do. And really, that's just what people who are fed up do. And it's not a Democrat thing or an Antifa thing or a BLM thing, or even a white supremacist thing. People are going to push back against authority when you rile them up. And in the summer, people were riled up because police themselves had just been, what appeared to be, in my opinion, abusing their authority in a lot of cases, and people were fed up. And they were willing to challenge police officers. Not to the extent, I don't believe, of what we saw on January 6, 2021, but it took place. The difference is, in my opinion, anybody can take it to this degree in terms of confrontation and combat with police. The difference is the Republicans tend to say we're the party of law and order, we back the blue. They tend to present themselves as people who support the police. But we see from the riots and the insurrection that took place on January 6th that all that goes out the window when they feel like they're in the right. And that is part of what people who support BLM, people who have criticized the hypocrisy are talking about, is that when they feel like they're in the right, everything that they've been criticizing other people for goes out the window. It's about whatever they feel like they need to do to take their country back, which is what Donald Trump has been promoting the whole time. So what we're seeing is a bit of a break in the blue wall. This is a quote that came out of the Washington Post article that I was just talking about. And they're saying basically what has happened to change the mind of fellow officers and commanders that are in law enforcement is the revelation that officers participated in the chaos was the latest hit for law enforcement's reputation. And this is coming on the heels of a year in which police violence spurred nationwide protests and activists called for cutting police funding. As photographs and videos of some off-duty officers at the riot emerged on social media, some residents back home felt betrayed, while police officials worried about a black eye for the entire profession's credibility. President Esvedo, president of the Major Cities Chiefs Association, said the behavior is so egregious that it is often fellow officers who are alerting police chiefs and others to their colleagues' participation in last week's mob attack on the Capitol. So what we're seeing here is basically they're finally saying, enough is enough. You all are really hurting our cause, and us trying to say that we're the party of law and order and that we respect the rules, we respect authority, and you're hurting that cause and making it hard for us to make that case, and even making the case for the other side. And they ultimately are. These people who have come out, these are, your police officers, your teachers, your family and friends that are coming out and participating in this, and they can no longer hide behind, we're the party of law and order, and we support the police. We don't believe in attacking the police. They're always in the right. So what you're seeing here is twofold. Number one, People who say that the police are a part of the systematic oppression are coming out, and people who say that are kind of being vindicated or justified in what they say, because these police who know the law are coming out and willing to break the law because they feel like their cause and their point of view is worthy. And the cause is that Donald Trump had the election stolen from him, which is not true. The other part of this is that they're not only willing to break the law for their own cause, but they're willing to fight other police officers. The whole idea that you have to protect the badge, back the blue, again goes out of the window when they feel like their cause is worthy. So I am actually pretty pleased with the idea that the blue wall is starting to break and that people are holding people accountable. These cops are being held accountable. In some cases, we're even seeing family members being held accountable. This is a picture of a woman who actually got punched in the face by a Capitol Police officer. That Capitol Police officer was suspended for now. But basically, they surrounded the police officer. This woman reached out to grab something off of, maybe like for her radio, and the officer responded by punching her in the face. And so she has this bloody nose, and of course she's trying to look like a victim, even though she put herself in a position to be victimized, I suppose. But she got turned in by her daughter. After everything finally calmed down, they began to ask people, please give us tips to try to identify the people who came out that participated in this. And so this woman, her picture was circulating clearly because she has a bloody nose, and people were saying, oh, poor her. And her daughter turned her in. And so this was a funny quote, or this was actually from Twitter. It says, "Hi, this is the liberal lesbian of the family who has been kicked out multiple times for her views and going to Black Lives Matter protests." So actually, she turned in her mom. And there's other pictures that she posted under this Twitter post that show that it's her mom. They got a picture of them hiking. And so she makes it clear that that is her mom. She also turned in her uncle and her aunt for being there and being a part of the protest. Now, will they be charged? It depends on if they have video, if they participated in actually assaulting other officers, or if they entered the building. But we're seeing more of this. We are seeing people who really are just tired of the rhetoric that is white supremacy. It's a new world. And as much as these people are complaining that they can't get out and just do the things that they used to do, or that they can't say the things that they used to say, it's not that you can't. It's just that people don't want to hear it anymore. And they're so tired of having to fight against misinformation that they're willing to turn in their fellow officers, their family members. You can say it and you can do it, but if it's illegal, you're also going to be held accountable for it. And that's certainly new for a lot of these people. They've been able to do things with impunity, whether they are police officers or a lot of white people in America who have been able to do things without any consequence. That's why you have so many people that showed up here without masks during a pandemic, because they felt like, I can come up here and I don't have to protect my face because I can do what I want. I'm white. I can do things with impunity. And we're finally coming to a point where that's not the case. And it's my prayer that that will continue, and that this is definitely a new America that will not tolerate hatred and white supremacy. And these people, these police officers, these family members, these community members are finding that people aren't going to tolerate it anymore. And you can have your views, but it's not acceptable in public spaces. If you want to, I guess, have that view on your own, in your house, in your business, but to come out and break the law based on your view and what you think it should be is not going to be tolerated by people anymore. So I wanted to come out and just talk about this, and this breaking of the blue wall, and just the breaking of the wall of silence and the toleration that we've had in this country for so long, allowing people to do things, allowing white people to do things with impunity. So it's a new day. Things are changing. I'm grateful. I was very upset when Donald Trump was elected. But as time has gone on, I feel like he was the person for the job, because he is bringing to light, I think, things that no one else could have brought to light. The white supremacy that exists in this country is clear to us, to the world. This whole thing was videotaped, and these people are being held accountable. So it's a good day. It's a good day. So I want to thank you for joining me. We're going to keep it brief. We were just talking about breaking the blue wall and breaking the wall of silence, and we're going to see what happens moving forward. So this is the Black White Liberal saying thank you for joining me today. If you liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a comment or a thumbs up. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter as Black White Lib. I'm also on Facebook as BW Space Lib. And you can also donate to my Cash App. And I'm there at Black White Lib 1. So I want everybody to have a peaceful night, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me.